In this video, we'll demonstrate how to install the electric retractable running boards for the Tesla Cybertruck or Cyberbeast 2024 and onward. For the front bracket, there are 3 screws, 2 bolts, and 1 screw for alignment. You want to hand tighten it first before you fully torque it onto the actual Cybertruck. There are pre-existing hole screws for the actual bracket itself, and you can see it's very sturdy, lined up with the outer part of the battery pack, so there's no impact to your battery pack, no issues or concerns here. Make sure you line it into the groove and then torque it with a wrench. You can use the impactor as well once you line it up with the screws at the edge there. So this is where you will connect later on with the power. So the motor for the electric running board is the front bracket. It has 2 brackets, one on the right front and one on the right rear. For the left side, same position. The rear bracket has 4 bolts. So make sure you screw all 4 bolts on to make sure that it lines up with the actual groove, and screw in all the 4 bolts using your hand first before you use the actual impactor or a wrench. So again, there's 2 alignment screws and 2 bolts that are inserted into the pre-existing hole in the Cybertruck. So there's no drilling that is needed for those bolts. And once you have it lined up, go ahead and use the wrench or the impactor to tighten everything up. Make sure you torque it enough so it doesn't come loose. Once these are installed, you are ready for the next step. So do this same step for the right side and the left side. It doesn't matter which side you start first. Now, entering the front. So make sure you have tools to remove these actual joint. So these are the cushion. When you lower the actual front, you just want to remove that by turning it counterclockwise on both sides and pull it out. There's also 2 10mm bolt. You want to press down here and pop that panel up. So using an impactor or a wrench, you remove these 2 screws on each side. So there's 2 on the right side of the passenger side and 2 on the driver's side. So using an impactor 10mm bolts, just remove those out. You will be using those bolts back to put back the front tray, so make sure you put that in a safe spot. So now removing the top cover right below the windshield wiper, you want to remove that. There's also a couple screws on the top there, 10mm bolt that you want to get access to using a wrench or a long impactor extension. You can loosen it up, but hand remove it so it doesn't drop down into your front. It's a little tight around the actual trim itself, so be careful not to cut yourself. But if you have the ability to have an extension on the impactor with a magnetic that is able to hold the screw, then go ahead and remove it that way. But you can reach in and remove it yourself with your hands. Just be careful not to drop the screws. So once those are removed, don't yank out the front. Remove the actual emergency latch wire as you saw there. Once that's removed, you can remove the whole tray. Installing the module, you want to install it on the driver's side. There's actually a screw right there. Remove that 10mm screw and then inserting the computer module right on top and inserting back the 10mm screw. You may have to use a hand wrench after you hand tighten it to make sure that is on there tightly. And this is a clean install, so you don't have to use any adhesive. Just tighten this right on to the pre-existing screw, and there's space for it right at the corner. It does not interfere with anything within the vehicle. So once you line that up, hand tighten it and use a wrench to fully screw it down and tighten it down so it doesn't come loose. Now you have wires that you want to run across here and zip tie it with other existing wires. Run it through the A-pillar and through where the front latch comes up. You want to fish it through there. One for each side. Make sure you select the right wires. There's a longer extension for the right side, so that will be routed along the bottom here. Again, zip tie it along with all the other wires, existing wires in the front. So there is a power connector in the front, and you can see there from the right side, the passenger side, inside the front. Make sure you power down your vehicle before you access it. And once you strip the actual rubber housing, you insert it into the actual adapter here for the actual electric running board. You run both wires through the pre-existing hole of the adapter and line it up. So make sure you pull this through. You have enough wire cut for the actual stripping of it, and then you're going to insert it into the actual harness itself. So make sure you have about a couple inches out from the actual adapter, and then go ahead and place the other housing to line up the actual wire, and this will secure the wire, keeping it waterproof as well. So once you have it lined up, you're going to insert each of these wires into the connector and tighten up the actual wire to the connector, one each at a time. So starting with either the positive or negative, make sure that the positive go to the positive and the negative go to the negative. And you can see the color alignment there, red to red, black to black. And after you insert the red or black wires, make sure you screw over the actual top layer to lock it down. So just like you were to strip a wire and you are screwing that onto a light switch. So same concept. So once you fully tighten it, don't over tighten it or else you will actually cut the wires itself. So just enough to hold it down where when you're pulling it, it's not able to get loose. And then after that's done, go ahead and screw in the adapter on one side first and then the other side, and now it will not come loose. It's also weatherproof, and this will ensure the longevity of the actual harness itself. So again, be very gentle when screwing this on, especially on the Tesla Cybertruck wire side. Those wires are a lot thinner. Again, it's only the red and the black wires that you need to gain power to the actual electric running board motor. And then zip tie any loose wires around the edges there. And that's how you line everything up. Again, you fish the right wires to the right side and the left wire to the actual left side. They're all labeled. You can't mess this up. To fish the wire through, use the fish wire, use some fabric, electrical tape, tie it to one end, insert the fish wire from the front all the way down through the side A pillar. And once you fish it through there, you will be pulling this from the actual bottom of the vehicle where the first bracket was installed. So right there, you can see it. It's very easy with the Cybertruck exoskeleton. You pull it through from the A pillar, and there's a little grommet here. So you want to insert this through the grommet of the A pillar and run it down. And this will also ensure weatherproof. And then once you fish the wires through that grommet, go ahead and seal up that grommet. Now you'll be plugging this into the actual computer of the vehicle, so it knows when the door is closed and when it's open. When it's open, it will present the actual running boards itself, and when you close the door, it will retract it. So remove that weather stripping and then pop open this cover next to the dash. So it's just a little cover, and this is going to give you access to be able to pry open this L-shaped door sill. Remove the door sill, place this to the side, and now going into your A-pillar, you will be pulling that wire, the computer wire that you fish through. So you want to fish that wire through into the A-pillar next to the computer module, and we'll show you which plug to pull out. So you can see there's a plug to the third from the actual blue plug there, and that is the gray connector. You want to remove that and plug in the actual harness itself, which is the blue to the white, and then the actual white to the gray. And that will be a tap in of your computer module, so there's no impact to the vehicle here. All the wires are still aligned, communicating as if it was a ghost system. So there's no disconnect between the module and the actual running board. It's just basically getting information once the door is open or closed. And once you insert all the wires, the U-loop of the wire harness, go ahead and cover up the panel, and you will go ahead and place back the actual carpet itself. You can zip size some of these to clean it up, and then place back that L-shaped door sill. Just line it up. Make sure that you line up all the clips before you press it down, and of course the actual door sill, rubber seal, will go on after. So just make sure you are careful with this. Tesla clips tend to break easily, so once you line it all up, just use your fist and push it down, and everything will just clip right in place. Put back that side cover from the dash that you removed earlier, and again, it's just held in by a couple clips. Once you line that up, go ahead and place back the rubber seal. And now all the difficult part with getting the power wires and the computer module wire to communicate with the module is complete. That is the most difficult part. And now you will go ahead and put everything back. You still have to fish the wires from the A-pillar to the actual bracket itself that you installed earlier, the first bracket at the front of the vehicle on the passenger side and on the driver's side. So how to do that is you want to remove these two screws, or one screw, 10mm bolt, and a clip. Once you remove that, you will be able to fish the wire through, and that is just your side skirt that you're gaining access to. So loosening that on the bottom there will allow you to actually gain access to the actual power wire that you're fishing down. And again, with the exoskeleton, it's very easy to remove a lot of these plastic panel, and there's a lot of room between the exoskeleton and the actual vehicle frame itself. So there you are. You really don't really need a fish wire, but it does help guide the wires down. So how to run this wire is you're gonna run it through behind that plastic trim and through the actual side skirt and onto the actual bracket itself, and that's where you will be getting power to the motor of the electric running board. Very easy install, just fishing the wires and running it through. Can be a little tedious, but removing some of these screws and clip gives you access, just like here. So right there, it runs right through the A pillar through the plastic trim, and then we just put the screws, 10mm screws back and the clip back, and now you're able to run it and connect it to the actual front bracket motor. And again, don't give it too much slack, just enough so you can reach the actual bracket. And then, of course, zip tie everything down so it doesn't come loose. But it is weatherproof, so you don't have to worry about water leaking into these wires and harnesses. And go ahead and put all the plastic back and the trim back, and now you're done with the right side. And you will do the same for the left side. And then that is the difficult part of the installation. After that, you will be able to just place the running board, which is aluminum, lightweight, easy to install, couple screws on each bracket, and you're good to go. So just to show you how all these process and screws and clips goes on, very easy on the Tesla vehicle. So right now, the vehicle is on. You just need to power up the power front feet just to test out. It should extend when you open the door and retract when you close the door. So make sure you keep the door open when you're putting on the actual running board, and make sure nobody tried to close the door. So you can see there, 2 brackets, 2 bolts on each side. And this is very strong aluminum steel that won't rust, and also lightweight. And when it retracts, it gives you the aerodynamic that you need on the highway versus a fixed running board. You can install this in your home or take it to your local shop to have them. It can hold up to 500 pounds on each side. Although it's small in form factor, it's very sturdy. Now put back the front, just like how you remove it. Line it up with where the screw holes are at. After you plug in that emergency latch on the left side, make sure you plug that in. So there it is. And that is the only plug to the front. Put the front tray back on. There's 2 10mm bolts on the back end. And then after you screw those on, put back the actual plastic trim on the top. But make sure that everything lines up and there's nothing loose. Everything is in place. So all the screws are on the right position. So again, be careful not to drop the screw and not to forget to put the screw on as well. And that will make sure that all the wires are in place. If you need to remove the actual front tray because some of the wires are still pinching, just take your time, move the tray around, and then once you feel like there's no pressure on any side of the tray and the screw goes on smoothly, put all the panels back, and then now finally screw back those 2 10mm bolts on the bottom of the actual front tray. So there's the 2 screws opening. Again, 10mm bolts on each side. Hand tighten it first and then using the impactor to screw it on tightly on both sides. Then place back the cover, and same thing on the passenger side. 2 10mm bolt, hand tighten it using impactor to fully tighten. Place the cover back on, and you're done. Of course, don't forget to put back those 2 grommets and plastic cushion for the actual front itself. And now you have electric running boards that automatically present itself when you open up the doors. And then when you close the door, it automatically retracts. If you're interested in this product, link in the description of this video. If you need help with installation, there's also details on where you can get it locally installed as well. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe.